Hi, this is Michael Monroe from the Better Complete Development Engineering firm, and today I'm going to show you how to remove dead and orphan code from your LabVIEW project in a matter of minutes. Dead code includes controls and VIs in the project that are not being called by the application. Orphan code includes controls and VIs that are in the project folders but not in the project. There are 4 steps for removing dead code. 1. Find the dead code. 2. Select the dead code. 3. Remove the items from the project. And 4. Delete the files from the disk, possibly from LLBs. If you don't do step number 4, you are turning dead code into orphan code. There are 4 steps to removing orphan code. 1. Search all project folders. 2. Compare each item to the project contents. 3. Select the orphan code. 4. Delete the code from folders, possibly from LLBs. I have a demo project here that was started in LabVIEW 8.5. It's been saved in LabVIEW 2016. The front panel is open and not broken. There are some dynamically called user interface VIs. There are no active VIs and dependencies. It's a standard class hierarchy of parent and child classes. There are 1,680 items in 58 folders, 40 of which are actually LLBs, and contains over 1,200 VIs and 200 controls. Before we start, I will keep this one belt LLB open in the LLB manager to show the progress. This LLB contains both dead and orphan code. The only way to find dead code in LabVIEW is to right-click on the project and select Find Items with No Callers. On a small project like this one, it takes just a few seconds. On a large project, it can take 10 or 15 minutes. Here we have 950 items with no callers. Is everything here dead code? Definitely not. There are at least 10 fatal flaws in this dialog. I'll only mention a few. There are lots of items from the VI library, showing here as dependencies. If dependencies are code modules called by my project but not in my project, then how can they have no callers? Regardless, they don't belong here. Let's sort by path and scroll down to the project folder. I have scrolled 2/3 of the way down before I see my project, so there are over 300 of my project items here. This dialog cannot select more than one item. It will not remove it from the project or remove it from disk. This dialog is less than halfway towards meeting the first requirement for deleting dead code. I select one item, and it takes me back to the project. I have to rerun the search to get the dialog back. I need a better way to find code without callers and further refine the list by other criteria. For this task, I will use Property Inspector 4.1. Here's the entire project of over 1,600 items. You can see the exact count here in the status bar. If I search, there are 58 folders, 40 LLBs, over 1,200 VIs, and 200 controls. I will turn off the filter and show the settings. There is a setting to include dependencies in this list, but Property Inspector will never include items in VI Lib. Property Inspector can filter the view by 20 object types. I will set the filter to hide everything except standard VIs, all 3 control types, and global VIs by unchecking the Show All Object Types. Yes, there are dead globals in this project. Now, we'll search for items without callers in Property Inspector. In only 1 second, there are 328 items without callers. If I scroll to the bottom, this list contains many assessor VIs for class private data that are not used. I would like to keep all of them. Notice they are all in memory. Let's examine some other criteria. Here are all the items not in memory. Here are all the items not in LabVIEW 2016. If these were ever in memory, Save All would have updated them to the current version. Here are all the items that are bad. None of these are in memory, or my application would be broken. Now I want to be sure not to remove any of the dynamically called user interface VIs that have no callers and are not in memory. Is that possible? Here are all the VIs set to show the front panel when called. This list contains my dialogues and a lot of test code written over the years to test hardware components. I would like to keep all of them and any sub-VIs they use. The sub-VIs all have callers, so they are kept automatically. I want to combine multiple criteria to find my dead code. Here are all the items that have no callers, are not in memory, and do not show their front panel when called. From here I can search by additional criteria, sort by any column, or select any part of the results. This result can also be exported to a CSV file or just copied to the clipboard for documentation. I will select all and delete selected items. Finding items with no callers is an iterative process and should be repeated at least a second time to find all the VIs that just lost their caller. For that I would have to spend 3 minutes reloading the project, so I will skip that for now. All dead code in the project deleted in only a few seconds. Let's refresh the LLB. Belt device control is gone, but there are still orphans here. The only method I've heard of to find orphan code is to use the Files view to move the project to a new location and everything remaining is an orphan. That does not work on a project of this size and complexity, and not at all with LLBs. The only way to reliably find dead code is by searching all the folders under the project and looking in the project to see if they exist. If the project uses LLBs, you need to open each one and compare the files manually. This Belt LLB has more files than shown in the project. Property Inspector 4.1 now has an orphan finder built in. Just select File, delete orphan VIs. This project takes just a few seconds and produces a complete list of all VIs and controls in all subfolders that are not in the project. One click will select all, and a second click will delete all the selected items. There are 3 options to limit the search. First is Include LLBs. Disable this checkbox and LLBs are ignored. The second is Include Root Folder. Your project may contain special code in the root folder that you want to keep. The third is the root folder can be changed to any subfolder or LLB to drill down into specific requirements. You could even change it to a network drive if there are networked items in your project. From here, I can select all and delete selected, and all the orphans are removed from all the folders, including inside multiple LLBs. Let's look at this LLB and confirm the operation. Using Property Inspector 4.1, all of the dead and orphan code has been removed from this project in just a matter of minutes. Here is a link for more information and a link to directly download Property Inspector 4.1. Thank you for watching.